including in a social media post shortly before members went to the floor. Speaker Mike Johnson says this vote is a good first step.
Today's passage of this initial rescissions package marks a critical step towards a more responsible and transparent government that puts the interests of the American taxpayers first.
One yes vote recorded, Thomas Massey of Kentucky, who is known to frequently break with his party. Bernie Bennett in Washington.
The Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals has temporarily blocked a federal judge's order directing President Trump to return control of National Guard troops in Los Angeles to California Governor Gavin Newsom. More on these stories at townhall.com.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio forecast. Overcast skies today with storms likely, high of 76. Winds out of the southeast, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Overcast skies again tonight, storms likely, lows level off around 68. Chance of thunderstorms tomorrow, daytime highs approaching 80, cloudy skies expected. Hear weather twice an hour or online anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com. Right now, 69.
MR Systems Wireless is your local internet provider for Clinton and surrounding area. They have the products you want and the local service you deserve. MR Systems Wireless Internet service for home or business includes unlimited data, unlimited streaming, and unlimited calling. Plans start at just $48 a month and get a free Roku 4 lease with our media packages. Get the speed you need with MR Systems Wireless. Call them at 935-2100. That's 935-2100 for MR Systems Wireless.
Summer is here, and that means allergies, pink eye, rashes, and earaches. CEO Paul Skowron here from Warner Hospital and Health Services, here with the solution. Come to our walk-in clinic inside family medicine at Warner Hospital and Health Services in Clinton. From summertime allergies and rashes to earaches and even sports injuries, we're here to help and enable you to get better fast. No appointment, no problem at Warner Hospital walk-in clinic inside family medicine in Clinton.
Noah Atkinson here. As owner of Lincoln Printers and Sign Designs in Lincoln, I know small business is important to our communities. That's why I'm pleased to be the exclusive sponsor of the WHOW WEZC Lincoln Printers Business of the Month.
Stacy Sharrow is the designated managing broker at the new MTZ Realty in the former Watkins Jewelry Building on the west side of the Clinton Square. Stop by and meet Stacy and welcome her new business to the Clinton community. They'll receive a $200 gift certificate good at Lincoln Printers and Sign Designs for being our WHOW WEZC Lincoln Printers Business of the Month. Nominate a business you'd like featured by emailing us at WHOW@randyradio.com.
Congratulations to this local business for all they do for the community. And don't forget, for envelopes, wedding invitations, signs, banner wraps, and more, go to LincolnPrintersInc.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Netflix buffering, YouTube spinning, devices not connecting, Zoom calls dropping. It's frustrating. Let's end your frustration by signing up for fiber internet in Clinton. Click the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
News time is 8 minutes after 8 o'clock on this Friday. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded 8 o'clock newscast. The city of Clinton has had an over decade-long agreement with DeWitt County to utilize the county's emergency management services. DeWitt County EMA coordinator Will Pavlik told the DeWitt County Public Safety Committee on Thursday that he will attend next week's Clinton City Council meeting to discuss that agreement.
So essentially, this is an intergovernmental agreement between us and then the city of Clinton, essentially us offering EMA services to the city. This is something that happens on a yearly basis, and it's been occurring, I think, since 2010, 2009, something like that. So this is essentially just a renewal process of it. And so I wanted to bring it here first. And then obviously if it moves to the full board, get that signed next week. And then I will be going to the city council meeting also on Tuesday of next week and then bring it forward to them as well. So like I said, this is nothing new. I did not change anything besides the dates on there. So this is essentially just bringing it forward to you guys and seeing if you had any comments or remarks on it.
So for this, Will, do you see any, what we've got in place, the standard agreement, is that still, you feel, working?
Appropriate? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so, essentially this is us just, becoming a county/city agency, with this agreement. And obviously we've been offering services to the other municipalities as well too. This agreement's been in place, like I said, I think 16 or 17 years. And so this is just, the annual renewal of that agreement.
The agreement gives the city of Clinton access to DeWitt County EMA services. Pavlik indicates that includes things like disaster planning for scenarios of severe weather or natural disasters.
EMA offers disaster planning services for the county. And so that's what our office does. We, work obviously in terms of natural disasters, man-made disasters, everything like that, to make sure we have large scale plans to back up any response or recovery, kind of operations that go on with any of that stuff. So obviously if a tornado, were to occur and everything, we've got plans to know exactly who's to do what, and then obviously what the recovery looks like with that. And so like I said, this is just obviously us working with them, the city of Clinton, to, provide those services to the city if something were to happen, to the city of Clinton, and not just DeWitt County. That's kind of what we do on the regular basis. But like I said, this is more just offering our services to the city.
The agreement requires the city of Clinton pay $15,000 in quarterly increments to the county. Pavlik points out there has been no increase in that amount in roughly the last 10 years. However, the money goes directly to the county and not to the EMA budget.
No, the $15,000 has been the same rate for the last, it's been that rate for, I don't think it's been the entirety of the time, but the majority of the time at least. And so we get those on a quarterly basis. Our first one will be July 30th. Yeah, that rate has not changed for several years.
Should it change? Is there any expenses that are greater than they used to be?
To be honest, I'm not 100% sure what the background is on that 15,000 mark. I don't know if that was just a number that had kind of been drawn up at that time to encapsulate all of that, what you're referring to. But obviously, if that was the case, then we'd like to see an increase in that. So that's something I would have to look more towards to see if an increase would be necessary. Obviously, with in terms of supplies or fuel or anything like that, for our office to provide more services to them. Obviously, if it needs to be more than 15,000, we can obviously consider that next year and everything. So, and this 15,000 actually just goes to the county, does not specifically go to EMA.
While the committee discussed increasing the fee to the city, they ultimately decided they did not have the information to do so. In turn, they agreed to recommend passing the agreement to the full board next week, with the possibility of discussing negotiating when the agreement renewal comes around next year. The state FFA convention wrapped up in Springfield on Thursday, and a DeLand-Weldon student was named to the state officer team. Cadence Wooten has seen a couple of her classmates from her time in the Blue Ridge chapter stand out at the state level of FFA and felt inspired to be like them.
My freshman year, I was quite shy. I hadn't gone to a lot, but after the first person had me go to a competition, I ended up going to another one, and then they finally somehow convinced me to go to convention, and that's when I saw Jayton on the stage. And being from the same chapter as Jayton, and then being able to see him do what he was doing, I was like, wow, that's really cool. He came from my shoes. And then go on to my junior year build conference. I still hadn't really been like, I want to run for section president, but when I got there, I had Thad as my table leader, and just the way he makes everyone feel included in absolutely everything. Everyone was heard. Everyone felt like they were part of a team. We had such an amazing group. I wanted to give that back to other people. And so I got section president. I just kind of went through my year, but being able to look up to people that I can call friends that were the major state officers this year. So having that other connection, that they're not just the majors that are there and you see them, but people that you have connections with. It was really inspiring to see what they did for the state. So I wanted to be able to do the same exact thing.
Wooten says she and incoming state FFA president Natalie Pratt from Amboy are very close and share a similar vision for the year ahead for the state officer team.
It is not, yeah, I really want to make people feel seen and heard and like they belong. Being that person who was bussed over, I was bussed over from DeLand-Weldon over to Blue Ridge for my ag classes because DeLand didn't have ag classes at the time. You always kind of feel a little different because you're not from that school. You didn't go there when you were little. So I didn't have those bonds that everyone else had. But I did belong. I just hadn't noticed it yet until someone like really pointed it out to me. So I want to be the person who makes sure that other people know that they belong and they feel it no matter what. As me and Natalie are really close, I have been blessed to call her one of my best friends this past year, and I'm sure we can, come together as a team and do that together.
According to Wooten, she did not have a direct connection to agriculture, but she has gotten more involved in FFA and learned about ag and has developed a passion for it.
I do not have a direct ag background. I've always been surrounded by ag. My dad grew up with an ag background. He's always been a farmhand or he was a chemical applicant, but I never was directly connected to agriculture. Growing up in the country, my house is surrounded by corn and soybeans, but I never quite realized what FFA and ag was until I got into FFA. I definitely have, and that's exactly why I want to be an ag educator, not only to help these students find their place in FFA. FFA's been my rock. It's been my filter to get me where I am now. So I want to help others get there, and that's what being an ag teacher could do. But also I want to show my passion and share my passion with others about agriculture and teach these kids how to not only just be the next leaders of our future, but to be educated consumers.
Wooten helped lead the DeLand-Weldon FFA chapter in its first year this past year after spending 3 years at the Blue Ridge program in the district's co-op. The state FFA convention was in Springfield at the Bank of Springfield Center this week. Clinton's visitors and residents are running out of time to see an exhibit on display at the DeWitt County Museum. On the WHOW Morning Show Thursday, director of the C.H. Moore Homestead in DeWitt County Museum, Joey Long, told Regional Radio the historic houses of DeWitt County display will be going away to make room for a new exhibit.
That's right. So the historic houses of DeWitt County Museum will be closing. We need the space, and then the board has an idea for a new replacement exhibit in that area in August. So historic houses exhibit, again, far more support for this than I had imagined. When we created this exhibit a year or two ago, you'll remember I reached out to the public. Do you have a photograph of an old house? Do you have a story about an old house? And oh my gosh, Seth, so many people came forward with these old photographs. Not everyone had the history of the house necessarily, but through research, I was able to, make some pretty interesting histories. So the houses are, they are or were, some are long gone, some still standing, everywhere from Waynesville down to just over the Macon County line, Farmer City area, all the way over, Kinney and farther west. So it covered the entire county. I was really pleased about that because we are the DeWitt County Museum. So it turned out to be a really good exhibit.
Long notes the exhibit does not just highlight the architecture and construction of the homes, but also their stories.
It is not what you might think. My text panels, and telling about, these different houses, it's not who is the architect, what material is it, what are the, it's not that. I mean, there might be some of that in there if it's interesting, like the Walters house, the bricks were actually, the clay was dug and the bricks made right there on site. Then I'll throw that in there. But it's the stories, who lived here? Why was this house built? What took place here? And some people, they go down and they, view the exhibit and will come back upstairs and say, well, that was quite a story about the McGill house, and they'll say, so who do you think did it? Do you think he murdered her or not? Really interesting things that happen in these houses. So sometimes, I've had people come up and they are just absolutely shocked. So yeah, some really interesting histories. My hope is one day in my spare time, if I ever have it, as my own personal project, I would like to add to that. I enjoyed the research of these houses so much. And I would like to add to what I've done already and come out with a booklet with the history of the different houses, with pictures of the houses.
The exhibit will be closing Sunday, so Long encourages anyone interested in seeing it to come out to the museum this weekend.
That exhibit will be closing on Sunday. That's the sad news. But the good news, if anyone is interested in coming out and seeing the exhibit before it goes down, I will be at the museum today through Sunday afternoon. If you're wanting to come by and take a look at that exhibit, I'll be there. And so, if someone would want to have a little more detail, obviously I can't write the entire story about the house, on a text panel, or, just wants to talk about it or whatever, you're welcome to come by and take a tour, and I'll be there and I can give a little additional information.
The Historic Houses of DeWitt County exhibit opened in the spring of 2023 and stuck around at the museum for a bit longer than intended due to its big reception. It will be replaced by the much anticipated Picture Perfect exhibit starting in July. News time 19 minutes after 8 o'clock on this Friday. Get news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Here's Clinton Save-A-Lot owner Dave Jackson on Inflation 3.0.
The rate of increase has slowed down. That doesn't mean inflation and prices have gone back to where they were. Not 8%, not 10%, double. So an item that was $1 in 2020 is now $2. It's not going back to $1. What you